We have some minutes from a meeting from May 2017. If someone would like to entertain a motion for this.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Hoy to approve the minutes. It's seconded by Mr. Halverson. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. We have a number of items on the agenda today. We have 8 items. Does anyone need to abstain from voting?
No.
And any of you out to the property to view the properties?
I was all of them.
No.
I didn't go to any of the properties. Did any of you speak to anyone regarding the variance requests that we have before us today?
No.
Okay, then we have first property for consideration today is Joel Eferth. Is that how you pronounce it? Eferth, with Mock Engineering and Surveying on behalf of Robert and Patricia Andrews. Is that how you pronounce it? Okay. And are you here to make the case for the
Yes.
first request? Okay.
Yes.
Why don't you come forward and make your case?
Sure. I'm Bob Mock with Mock for Engineering Surveying. Joel was double booked this evening, so. Okay, what they're applying for in this variance is to exceed the impervious surface area ratio on the property. Under the zoning allows 50%. They're asking for an additional 12% to bring it up to 62. This came into play because they wanted to put in their backyard, you guys saw a copy of the plans or not, an area that's 21 feet by 54 feet, and it would be artificial turf, which a lot of this comes down to a semantic argument, whether it's impervious or whether it's pervious, whether the water goes in it or not. We actually performed a stormwater management plan on this. The turf itself is able to infiltrate water at the rate of 43 inches per hour. 100-year storm that we designed for is a little over 5 inches per hour. So this turf is able to absorb a lot of water. It was more an interpretation by City Public Works, what they considered it was impervious because the soils underneath it were impervious, but the soils underneath it are the same soils that are the soils underneath grass. So, yeah. That's why we're here, and that's the 1,100 square feet that we are over the threshold. And we did a stormwater management plan, calculated the storage. The storage in the gravel base underneath this will store about 4 inches of runoff as well.
So you say the backyard would not be usable if seed and mulch are utilized? What does that mean?
Well, the intent of this home is to be kind of a long-term retirement home for them. And part of the interest of having this as the artificial turf, one was the aesthetics, keeping, it's going to be replicating a football field with new line and stuff, but also to minimize the maintenance on the property. It's an elderly couple that are moving into this.
Okay.
Now, you said that this turf is going to be lined,
Yes,
so it looks like a football field?
yes,
Yeah, and this is going to be a primary residence and not a party house?
correct.
So what are they going to use it for though? What is the plan for it?
Well, I'm sure it will be used for social gatherings.
Okay.
But this is going to be, this is their primary residence or their retirement home. What are they going to use it for? It's going to be backyard for them.
Okay.
And we wouldn't be here if the determination had been that this artificial surface that looks like grass that lets water pass through it like grass wasn't determined by a department to say it's an impervious surface as opposed to being one that you've tested and found to be quite impervious?
Correct.
Okay.
What's the variance that we're dealing with here?
Just the one variance in this district, 50% is the max impervious coverage. So it's been deemed that this portion of the artificial turf, I guess I'll call it, is being impervious, I guess. It's green, it allows water
Oh,
filter through,
okay.
but,
That's the deal.
yeah, but it's been interpreted by our Department of Public Works as being impervious, I guess, for maybe stormwater purposes, Bob, I'm not sure, but
Yes.
I would say, looking at the site plan, it looks like there's actually, I mean, the bulk of the property is occupied by the house itself. I mean, does that compute into the impervious surface calculation as well?
yeah, I think they had a previous plan approved, and they were like at 49%. I think with the addition of this change, it's put them over the 50%.
Right,
So,
we were right at the threshold previously.
With the existing paved surfaces and the house itself?
Correct.
Do you have any more questions? Tom?
No, just a comment. So what would be the southern border of the property is actually Lombardi?
Yes.
And then basically, if you're looking out their back window, they're looking at Lambeau Field.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so there's no backyard neighbor.
Okay.
It's Lombardi's.
And this is also fenced in, so the only place that you'll be able to see this is if you're on their back patio or on one of their windows. So it won't be backyard, it won't be visible from Lombardi, or if you're standing in the neighbor's yard.
Do you have any questions? Okay. We'll convene and then make a determination. Anyone have any comments? Tom? No?
You know, I understand you know, that we've got a department that says it's impervious, but looking at the data they submitted, it looks like it is pervious, and it's an artificial surface as opposed to a natural surface, and there might be something like that, something that was thought of in terms of why the code is the way it is, like we're wanting lawn as opposed to something that looks like lawn, but in this case, it looks like lawn, it performs like lawn, with the exception of some striping on it, but
Seems like a technical.
it seems more
than
like.
the intent of the ordinance.
Yeah, I'm willing to support granting the variance. And I would so move.
I second the motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Halverson, seconded by Mr. Hoy to approve the variance. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed, you've been granted your variance. All right, second on the agenda. We have Tim Wanner on behalf of Victoria Wanner.
Yes.
Regarding a building at 3489 Finger Road, correct? Would you come forward and make your case?
What happened was last summer I bought a 24-foot Forest River trailer, and then my brother sold the building where I was keeping it. That's something he said he'd never do, and well, since he put me out, he found a mini storage place for it and paid the first 3 months rent, but now I'm kind of on my own. It's kind of parked in there too, so. So I have a very deep lot, I'd like to build a garage in the backyard. What I'd like to, it's gotta look nice, siding and soffit and look nice like the house. And the other thing is I already have a garage and a May barn. I understand if I get permission to build this garage, the mini barn would have to go. And it's a very deep lot. I have plenty of room to do it. What I'd like to do is just be able to, I don't want to leave the trailer sitting in the driveway. I think that looks bad. So I'd rather put the trailer in the building, put the truck in, and that way everything's out of sight.
Is this at the very back of the lot, on the diagram here that you're talking about? Right here?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what already exists, and this would be what would be proposed back here?
Yes.
Okay.
We have some backyard neighbors cannot even, we have big cedar trees there, they wouldn't even see it.
Okay.
The neighbor alongside me said, oh, wow, I don't know, we're gonna sell our house in a couple of months. We've got them in 2 years.
It's the neighbor that you have here.
To the west of me. So, yeah.
The neighbor is supportive of it, or?
He said, well, we'd have to think about it, maybe he wouldn't like the temporary, noise and distractions when I do this garage.
Mr. Chair, did you want to look at it on Google Earth?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
So where would you have it located there?
I would put it in the very back corner. Yeah, put it way in the back
Okay.
corner.
Yeah, I took a look at the, on the map.
Yeah, it's just a straight shot to get back there. And like I said, then I don't have something sitting in the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, everyone knows when you're gone.
So Paul, we're dealing with a number of variances here, is that right? or-
And the main one's the size of the structure.
Okay.
That's the problem. The trailer's 24 feet and the hitch is 3. That's why I'm asking for a 30-foot building. It sounds kind of big. And then Menards has a low-profile truss that I would use so that that wouldn't be too high.
Okay.
So is your intent to take this out and make the garage go here, or,
Put the new garage here.
and then how are you gonna get from the street?
Yeah,
Sure.
that's kind of just between here.
So you're gonna have a driveway like that?
Yeah, but when I first applied, he says that I cannot put in a driveway, so I would just leave the grass. See, residence is only allowed one driveway,
Right.
so
How are you
I
gonna
would
get
just drive across the lawn. So, I would just want to take it out when you can. Right now, it's been raining, I can't.
Have the folks, your neighbors contacted you in regards to their comments?
No, I told them, I asked around all the neighbors before I even started this, and no. They just said, oh, we have to think about it, we're gonna sell our house in maybe a month or 2. They were only there 2 or 3 years.
Alder, have you seen the comments by the neighbors?
I have not seen any comments by the neighbors. Thank you.
Did a lot of remodeling in the house, and I hope they understand that when you repair or replace something, you get that value back and you sell your house, but when you change it to suit your style or desires, that money you don't get back when you remodel.
Thank you. I didn't know that.
So we have 2 letters here from neighbors. Joseph and Amanda Father-Zarin, and then Catherine Willicat. Anyone here to speak on, in opposition to, or on behalf of this request? Alderman North, would you like to
Yeah.
speak?
The only point I would make with one of the letters where they talk about the noise, that would only be while the construction would be going on, and then it would be done. So I didn't feel like it was a long-standing concern. But there are other projects going on in the property. Mr. Warner, can you talk a little bit about, are there other projects that are causing noise? Because both were concerned because they're early risers, and that it's noisy on the property. Can you speak to that?
No, you lost me on that one.
Okay.
Sometimes people cut their lawn at 8 o'clock in the morning, but not me. That's not being a good neighbor.
Anything else you'd like to?
I would be supportive of him having this property or building this building.
Anyone else have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Just some concerns raised by the neighbors, talking about there's driving on the neighboring property to get back into the backyard, and it sounds like they're expecting that would continue with the way this is being built, and, you know, a garage without a drive to it, and that's not an ideal circumstance, and to get there, you'd be having even that much more, you know, either a tore-up yard with lawn or more pavement, which would probably get us into impervious surface, you know, issues like we were just looking at. I mean, this has got an accessory building, you're looking at total accessory buildings in excess of the principal structure plus, you know, multiple accessory buildings, you know, beyond that permitted. It seems like, and I'm not trying to wax philosophical here, but it seems like this is a kind of a consistent request to the Board of Appeals in terms of, you know, additional storage for stuff, and you know, the zoning doesn't allow it, and, you know, I don't know if council at some point wants to consider that, but looking at it right now, I'm not sure I'm seeing a hardship rather than just a desire to have another place to put stuff.
Yeah, you never would have bought the trailer if my brother said he'd never sell the building. You know,
Right.
so we kind of,
Yeah, I get that, but, you know, then there might be another place to find to store it rather than, you know, doing this, but,
find a better place than where it is now.
yeah.
But, what's weird is the houses and the neighbor are kind of to one side of the property, so I'm not on the neighbor's property when I go back there. So,
Any further questions, Tom?
No.
All right, we're gonna convene and then make a determination here. Thank you. Any other thoughts? Tom?
Yeah, I've got a concern on using the grass as a driveway, going pretty much to like a lot. You
Put it
know.
in the driveway if I could.
I mean, the other way would be to make it go that way.
Make a deeper garage. Yeah, and if this were a request for a
You wanna
deeper...
talk too?
I don't want to interrupt,
Oh,
but
sorry.
when you have time,
If this-
I'd like to
If this
speak.
were a request
Sure.
for a deeper garage, for example, you know, like taking off the back of that garage and trying to extend the length of the existing garage,
Right.
so that it accommodate this stacked, I might be more amenable to the request, but this doesn't seem like looks like it might be creating more challenges than it's solving.
Alderman Nicholson?
I agree with Noel. Could you read the concerns of
Sure.
the neighbors, please? I
Sure.
can't remember what it said.
Okay, you want me to read the letters?
Yeah, could you? I mean, are they short or
They're pretty well,
short.
they're fairly short,
precise?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We have a objection from Joseph and Amanda Laluzerne. Their residents at 3483 Finger Road and next door neighbors, they do not want another building on the property. There currently are vehicles and other items stored in the back of the house. Constructing another building will create an even larger eyesore than what already exists. The only way to access the backyard with a vehicle is to drive on both properties, which is already occurring and will increase with another building to access. There are people in the area who are early risers and struggle to get to sleep on some nights due to the current noise created on the property. Another building will increase the noise and potentially locate it closer to our house. We may potentially list our house for sale, and construction of another building on a neighboring property will decrease the value of our own property. Then we have a letter from Catherine Wilkett indicating she has concerns regarding their request. Feels that we live in a residential area to stay away from the noise and the industrial equipment of living in an industrial park. At times, there is noise from major projects going at the Wanners as it is. Some neighbors are very early risers and it has disrupted sleep. Having another building larger than code will just promote more noise and be an eyesore for the neighborhood. At some point, I may consider listing my home and feel the sight of a larger building may defer potential buyers.
I guess I agree with Noel's comments. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Anything else? Are we ready to make a vote?
The only other thought I would have, Noel, is when I was looking at the house, this is at the high point of the lot. The house going this way, it's on a downgrade. So to me, driving up over the grass when it's wet right
It's gonna
now.
get even more challenging.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, those are some really good points. I gotta say that, having now heard those letters again, this might, maybe there'd be a better way to do it.
Sure.
Like maybe extending the garage.
As I mentioned, I'd be probably taking a different tone if this were a proposal to extend the back of the existing garage to accommodate, this parking, but as it is, as it's proposed, I think we're creating more challenges than we're trying to solve, and I would move to deny the request.
I agree.
I'll second.
We got a motion by Mr. Albertson, seconded by Mr. Hoy to deny the variance request. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Your variance was denied 3-0. All right. The next one on the agenda is Maria Mendez, who has a request regarding a driveway. Would you come forward and make your case?
She's my daughter, can she come with me?
Sure,
I will
yeah.
tell her, I think
Sure.
it's okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, you want to extend a driveway, is that right? Okay. Can you explain?
Yeah, it's because we are allowed to have 2 cars in there. And we need only 3 cars, because, for example, we have 2 kids that they are going to college, so we need space for more cars. In this street, there are a lot of traffic and they run fast. And there always are a lot of cars parking on the street. So it's hard to see. Even a few years ago, there were an accident with a little kid. Because it's hard to have visibility when we cross the street. There are a lot of people in there, a lot of kids, little kids playing around.
So you want to go on both sides, is that
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And extend all the way past the house on both sides?
No, just towards the entrance, like towards the door of the property.
Basically paving it area where you've been parking already,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that on the photo here.
Yes and no. Okay. No, as I'm looking at the drawing there, okay, when I stopped by the house and saw it, the doors to enter the building are here, correct?
Mhm.
And are you thinking that you want this paved, or are you creating a separate piece here?
Oh, no, we just
No, no.
want like a little piece paved, like it's right in front of the doors.
It's next to the driveway, it's already there.
And the reason why I want to be sure about what you're asking for here is that there's a safety concern with respect to parking a vehicle in front of the door, because that would limit any firemen or ambulance drivers or policemen. So from a safety perspective, it's very important not to have it constructed that a vehicle is going to block access to the doors.
Yeah, I
So
understand.
when I look at this, it's almost, I'm not sure, are you saying that you're going to leave a pathway for the door open, or you intend to park in front of the door?
There is another solution to have another spot for a car, leave a space in front of the door we can allow to have another space for a car. Sí, como, let me explain.
Sure.
Por ejemplo, si ya establece y ellos quieren que dejemos esa parte que teníamos libre, y si nos dan el permiso de hacerlo más acá, como dejando la parte libre de la
Okay, so she was wondering if that's like the safety concern of like obstructing a vehicle from getting towards the entrance. If there was another possibility to have like another parking spot, like that wasn't obstructing the entrance on both sides.
So, what I'm remembering is, so here's your building,
Mhm.
and you've got 2 units, okay?
Yes.
And you've got a door here to
Mhm.
go to this side, and then you have a door here to go to that side. And what I'm not sure about is, are you saying you want the the driveway to be here, or do you want to widen this?
We wanted to widen that, but my mom's saying that if there's no way that we could like widen that because of the safety concern, if we could like have another spot in order for us to be able to park another car. But currently we want to widen the driveway.
Well, I'm gonna, since Tom, you're up and looking at this, I'm gonna just say, my understanding is, Paul, help me understand this. This is the request here to pave this
Yeah.
bit here and this bit here, right?
Yeah.
That's what's being requested? So, I mean, if you look at the back end of the car that's currently parked in front of the garage, and you see how much room it's got to the back, a car could park here and still leave, 6 feet or more in front of that doorway. I don't know, it's not, it's not ideal, but it looks like it could work, and it's probably safer and better than parking perpendicular off the sidewalk like that.
Right.
Probably
We
looks better,
wouldn't
too.
want it perpendicular, it'd have to be parallel, it'd have to be contiguous to the existing
Right.
driveway.
Yeah, but I think if you filled in those 2 wedges on either side there and just made sure that you parked, not within 5 feet of the sidewalk, but right at the 5-foot line, then you've still got space in front of that door that you're not blocking the doorway itself.
Paul, can we micromanage that and make it conditioned or not? Because aren't we denying or we're approving?
Well, I think you could add some reasonable conditions if you felt it was necessary. I think the concern like Tom has is the front door.
Right.
So I think you can, if you chose to expand it, you could, but I don't think you want to go in front of the front door.
Mhm. And you were commenting maybe keeping it grass or whatever there and then going farther over and making a spot that's not in front of the door.
But that's creating another driveway.
Right.
It's like a
Right.
moving the spot.
Alderman Nicholson?
The communication has existing driveway and low density. If you drive through there, there's duplexes from Mason Street on Abrams, basically all the way to Deborah, and across the street in Loretta and Cypress. It's not low density, it's a lot of people. I don't support it. It's uniformity, it's the old town of Preble, and that's when, back in the day, in the 50s and the early 60s, that was their retirement. They built the duplexes, they lived on one side. Well, the builders or the individuals are long gone, and now we have, when you drive through there, there's too many people living in that area. It's just high density, and what I've been trying to do for the last 16 years is trying to lower the density in District 3 with Imperial Lane, Green Meadow Apartments, August Street. I just don't see breaking up the uniformity of the neighborhood for more parking. If there's too many cars, why don't they use the garage? I mean, a lot of these garages are used as storage. I mean, how many cars are we gonna basically have in a duplex? I mean, if a place is too small, there's other options. I just, I don't agree with this. It's way too many cars in the area, and way too many people. If you look at Edgewood, now, they received, over the years, and probably before my time, Board of Appeals allowed this to happen. Now, if you look at Edgewood, if you ever drive down Edgewood from Mason all the way to Hemlock, there's cars on top of cars. It is widened, and they're still parking on the apron. It's a problem, but that's a different area than this, and I can see this repeating what Edgewood's is already at right now. Gentlemen, I don't support it. But we have problems with this address, with 2-yard cleanups in the past year, with tires and oil. I just feel it's way too dense. And to expand the driveway, it'll be utilized, but there's gonna be, I don't think how it's gonna lessen the parking. So, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Ollie.
Thank you.
Any more questions for the applicants?
Could I just ask a question?
Sure.
Do they want to widen the parking area in the front, or do they want to just widen the curb cut? What's the request?
They want to widen the parking area.
Looks pretty
So,
wide.
I mean, you know, over half of the front is already in cement.
Yes, sir.
I mean, what are we gonna have, just cement fronts of houses?
Right, I mean, those areas with pavers on either side of the driveway look like they're what they're asking to pave right now, correct?
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe, I don't know if it was, you know, a compliance issue where they were parking there already and had a challenge, or, but it looks like, yeah, they're just looking to kind of pave what is already.
Are they parking on those pavers?
That's a question for you.
Not yet.
Not yet.
No.
Actually, can I say something?
Yeah.
Actually, when the city asked us to remove them, we removed them. So like,
They're not there now.
they're not there now, but we still want to widen the parking spot.
Okay, because that's what I was gonna come to. I thought, gee, I didn't know that that was legal like that, but, so they did tell them to remove them, and there's grass there now, is that it?
Well, they're still like dirt because like,
Because you
It still
didn't
hasn't
put the
grown
grass
yet.
back in
And
yet.
we're waiting for this.
The determination.
Pavers are okay as a sidewalk. When you start parking
Not
on the
as a parking
sidewalk, and that
surface.
becomes the issue.
Well, then why were they required to take the pavers up?
Because there must have been parking on them.
Because they were parking on them. Well, are there too many people living in the house, or they just don't use the existing garage? What's the problem?
we
Because
just.
I told them, I had 2 kids, they go to college, we need at least 3 cars. And we have only spot for 2 cars, one in the garage and one outside. So we need at least one more.
So it's really not a simple solution. I mean, this is a design issue that we inherited from years ago. We have several of these throughout the community. This is even more challenging because these are 2 single stalls. If we had two stalls, it might make it a little bit easier for stacking, but 2
Yeah,
singles
there's
is
a-
very difficult.
There's a duplex down, a couple doors down to the left here that's got two stalls, and it looks like they've parked the, you know, the other,
Down this way?
yeah, keep going, another lot or 2. But look, they've widened on the left there to get that extra space on top of I suppose maybe it's lined up. Yeah, and so we wouldn't be having this conversation if it were this kind of configuration, but there's single stalls and.
So the code only requires 2 spots per unit, so they're meeting the basic requirements. The problem is it's more of a demand issue. That's the crux of the issue.
But on that one, we don't have any issues with the front door.
Right.
Are there people parking on the apron? Because the council got at this, that's part of the reason I was here tonight, because we had a big discussion on the council about parking on aprons. And as a general feeling, I don't think it adds to the looks of a community when you park in aprons, but I also understand, representing an older district, that, you know, they weren't built for cars in those days.
Right.
And sometimes you make exceptions because there's really a hardship.
Mhm.
And I guess you gotta draw the line as, when is it really a hardship that if you let them go into the setback area a little bit, get one extra car, and then, well, I don't know, here it just seems like, well, they got room for a couple cars apiece,
Mhm.
and they want more, so.
Alder Dorr?
I just wanted to say with the two children in college, that does seem like it would be a temporary situation, that the need would be there. But where do the cars park right now?
Well, it's hard. I have one in my friend's house, so I got to take the kids to take the car, so you know.
So they can't fit one behind each other then?
No.
Because it goes onto the sidewalk
Mhm.
then?
Right.
Now, if you put those, you have to put the little one, because if you have a regular car, they go until the sidewalk, and it's not.
And you have one
legal.
in the garage already?
Yeah,
So there's one in the garage and then,
and one outside. If you have little small cars, you can put two in the driveway, but you don't. It's impossible.
Any further questions? Okay, you can have a seat where kind of beat this to,
Yeah.
of course, here.
I make a motion to deny.
We have a,
Where do they treat them?
I'll take up the, do we have a second?
No.
He's made a motion to.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna second it.
Okay. Paul, under those circumstances,
I think you can second
can I second it as
Yes.
the, okay,
You need 2/3 to
Okay.
pass the variance.
all right. Mr. Hoy's made a motion to deny, and I'll second that motion. All in favor? Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate your
Thank you.
service, I really do.
Yeah, it's not an easy situation.
No, it isn't, never is. Thank you.
All right, next one we have is Eric Elliott, fourth one. We have with regard to a garage.
Yeah, I'm actually Daniel, I'm representing Eric.
Okay. And you are Dan Doyle, is it Dan
Doyen.
Doyen? Okay. With B&T Construction?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
So what we have here is my customer just wants to extend his garage out, like an addition, and this is what we got. So this is the existing garage. It's a 16 by 7 door right here. And we got 17 feet from this wall to the lot line. And with the easement, it's 6 foot for the side property line, which would only give him like an 11-foot opening to build, to be within code, you know? So what we're asking for, I mean, as much as we can get to that property line. As close as we can get, we'd like to build with like 2 feet off the property line. Unfortunately, I do apologize, I do have a letter from the neighbor Bard, but I did not bring it with. She wrote a letter in.
On this side?
Yeah, on this
Okay.
side of the house where her lot line is, and she gave the okay on it. Obviously, she did get your guys' letter as well, but, yeah, unfortunately, I didn't bring that with. Is there a way you can turn? No? Turn it or whatever?
No.
So he's already got gravel there on the side of it?
Yeah, he's parking a trailer there now.
Yep, correct, a camper there. Yep,
So there is no existing garage?
no. But, I wish we could get a different picture because this looks, when you go in that garage, so like right here, when you go in come in the garage door like this would be just attached to the garage with an opening here, you know what I mean? And it would only go 30 feet back.
We're talking about setbacks here, Paul?
Yes, side yard setback,
Side yard
6 feet
setback,
back.
which is 6 feet tall.
Okay.
Isn't it 8?
No, that's from the back of, I thought.
I saw a note on the screen that said 8, so.
It does say 8, doesn't it?
Yeah,
on the
Is
request.
this a two-story structure or a single story?
two.
That's an 8-foot setback.
8 foot, okay.
And that's related
There you
to
go.
like firefighting or something, isn't it? To have that
Yeah.
setback?
Yep.
Nothing related to the size of the building though, right, Paul?
No.
No, okay.
Oh, you got the wrong address.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to the right spot.
There it is.
Yeah.
There you go.
Perfect. So basically, we just want to come out, follow the same contour as this roof, come out right to actually where these are, which is like a foot off, 2 foot off this property line. Come out, come up, and go straight back. That way it can give him another garage door, and so concrete would just come from here to right here. It would actually stay a whole nother 10 feet off of this sidewalk up, and then go to this cake, and then come out. But it's pretty cramped in there with his truck and a car.
He gets 2 in there?
No, it's tight. He can't open his door. And that's the whole reason why if we were obviously to build per code, he would still wouldn't have room with the new garage with his truck. And we're not trying to eliminate that inside wall. We just want to cut out, you know what I mean? Instead of ripping this whole thing down and dealing with all that kind of construction.
Any questions?
I know it don't help that I didn't bring her letter, but she did sign off on it and it was okay. And I obviously wouldn't say that if she did.
Any further questions that we have? Tom? Sawyer, Alderman Sawyer?
This isn't my district. I know the folks that live to the north, the Leonards, and, you know, if there was a problem with getting that letter, I mean, we could bring that in for you, but she had no issue with that. I guess, like I said, I think one of the concerns is the setback, just to make sure that would fit in well enough with the neighbor. But like I said, the Leonards had no issue with it, so under the stipulations, if there's a way that the board could see fit to bring this forward, I would agree with that. So that's all I have right at this time.
Okay.
We'll deliberate. Thoughts, gentlemen?
I guess I'd like to hear from staff a little bit more about side setbacks and the purpose. I'm not really clear on what we might be doing to this place if we take it down to a 2 foot.
It's a little unusual to see a side yard setback for a principal building come through. We see a lot for driveways and maybe even accessory structures, but principal structures are a little different. So they're pretty standard. They're 6 feet for a single story, 8 for a story and a half or higher. They're there to create separation for neighbors for obvious reasons. So to encroach within 2 feet is a little unusual. It's close, but again, it's a hardship issue that you have to consider. We'll consider other options that might be proposed by the applicant.
And in this case, the garage we're talking about we're not talking about a 2 foot expansion here so that the structure would only be a single story at the at the side yard here.
Right,
but
and it's definitely a two-story, the highest point of this is a two-story, so you
Right.
consider that to be an 8-foot
You just consider it
setback.
that way, the whole building? Okay.
Right. It's a split level, I guess, maybe, but it's still, line with 8 feet.
That's done.
Well, we're gonna stay with one story. I've got the neighbor next door in agreement with it, and he has all their support, so I'd be willing to grant the variance.
Okay. I agree, I think there's a hardship for the size of it. And you got a neighbor in support of it. And you got an alderman here that's supporting it. So, I don't have any issue with it.
Yeah, again, this is, the same type of stuff that we're seeing. I'm not quite sure about the definition of a hardship here, and I'm nervous about cutting the side yard down to 2 feet, but I won't oppose it.
Make a motion to approve the variance as requested.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Hoy, seconded by Mr. Halverson, to approve the variance requested. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You've been granted your variance.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Make sure to stop in for permits and so forth.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on to number 5 on our list, which is Chris Bizio and Vicki Wanner regarding driveways. Could you come forward and present your case?
We own a rental property at 412 Mather Street, and we've owned it for 32 years. And it was originally built as a two-family. It was never converted. And originally, it always had 2 driveways. So what we want to do is hard surface the 2 driveways. Finish hard surfacing, I should say, off of the alley. The driveway in the back is cement, over half of it right now, and the rest is kind of dirt and gravel, and it's got kind of worn over the years, and so we'd like to just finish hard coating that to the alley behind the garage. And then in the front of the garage, you can see there's 4 cars.
This is gravel.
Yeah.
It's the original
Those-
garage.
Those 4 cars that are parked there like that was not the intent of the driveway to ever be like that. There was a family living there with 2 teenagers, and they had 4 cars. So over the years, they kind of just drove over the lawn and made it all kind of dirt. And so we ended up putting railroad ties there, so they couldn't do that anymore or go any further to ruin the lawn. But what we're proposing, if you can see on my drawing, I want it to come straight out. You should have those in your pack too, I think.
The original
But
concept.
I can point it on here too. The original concept came at an angle here to this telephone pole.
That's where the alley starts.
And this alley is here, and we wanted to go back to slant it back towards that telephone pole like it was and put grass here again and grass here again. Because right now they have it this wide, and they're parking all this way. But this way, I told them already that they'll have to park their cars like this. So it's seeing they're in the alley, that still won't, that will solve a hardship for them of having to move cars back and forth if they're parked one behind the other, because they can just turn into the alley to leave. And I know the city had suggested that we would do a curb cut here, but this is Mather Street, that's really a busy street. People can't back out on Mather Street, that would be a really hardship for them to do that, plus the telephone pole and there's a very big tree here in the way too.
Well, what's the point of an alley?
Yeah, so really what we want to do is just hard coat this surface here and then hard coat this surface there, is what we want to do. And that still doesn't, I have the measurements of all of the buildings that are on the property, and it still is going to be more than 50% grass, even if we would hard.
That's the original garage that we rehabbed and kept over the years.
Yeah, we maintain that
You can see
garage.
the alley right where the pole
Yeah,
is.
the alley runs
Uh-huh.
right like that.
Yeah.
So
And it's all fence. There's no neighbors there. There's a big laundromat, it's all fence. And then
Okay.
actually the neighbor that's right behind us, their house is going in foreclosure right now. So I don't know what's gonna happen with that house.
We just want to finish, you see where our slab.
Right where the slab ends, we just wanna finish from there to the
Finish it
alley.
out to the alley. with- And we got bids on hard surfaces, and we will go with asphalt, because currently the alley's asphalt. So I don't know what they're gonna do with the alley. And that's, I mean, we don't want to really alter anything.
Sure.
We just wanna go back to what their driveways, well, it might be a little bit longer by what we put on this proposal here, but we would go back to the way it was curved towards the alley, so that they can't park this way, they have to park this way. And then if we would get someone in there that would have more than 2 cars in the front, they could always ask the back people if they could park in the back then with that, if that was hard surface, because there'd be enough room for an extra car back there if we'd have, if someone was a teenager or something.
So how big are these units?
They're
2
both-
bedrooms, both
yeah.
two, big,
This-
big
this-
2 bedrooms,
This
yeah.
house was originally built as a 2-family by the Ryans.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how, it's like, it looks like you've got 4 current parking spaces and then another 2 with maybe the
It's
possibility
probably-
of squeaking in some more. It just seems like a lot of parking.
Well,
2 bedrooms.
it's, yeah, 2 2-bedrooms.
But it's a
4
couple,
kitchen,
both,
living
if both the
room.
adults have a car and then one of their teenagers has a car, then that would be 3 vehicles, so.
Not like kids take the bus nowadays.
But it is a nice size, the bedrooms are a nice size,
We've
so.
been trying to keep it up. I mean, we stuck a lot of money in the building, but, you know, the thing was that, they said, well, if you cut that in gravel, we wouldn't,
We wouldn't have had this
Yeah, we would be
hard
trying,
surface
like-
it, but.
we all know.
I kind of looked at all the driveways in that alley, and they're all kind of dirt and not much gravel, so it's not like ours currently aren't different than any of the other driveways, but I just think that this would make it look a lot nicer if we,
Well, we.
715 doesn't have a gravel driveway.
A lot. I can show you 100 properties within 3 blocks of that place that don't have any hard surface. And I can show you a lot more that have more than one parking access off an alley, because I've looked around. I
So
mean,
what-
we just didn't know, that they evidently changed codes or something, I don't know.
yeah, we don't know, yeah. And actually, when we talked to the neighbors behind us that the house is going on foreclosure, he said to me, it doesn't really matter what you do because the house is going in foreclosure. He says, so it won't bother me if you hard surface it, so. That was
That's
for
the next one
grants.
down the alley?
That was one right next to us. His driveway is with our driveway.
And I mean,
And I think she's been in a nursing home a long time already, so her grandkids have been kind of watching the house.
so anyway, we don't really want to expand it, we just want to improve what we got.
Tiny.
Maintain
Yeah.
it.
What are we talking about zoning wise here now, on the corner yard?
Right, there's some encroachments on the setback, area where they were entering and leaving must be in a forward motion. I wasn't quite sure about the general maintenance, that was included as part of the request, but.
Well, that was because that's what the inspector's office put down as one of the, and that was because they said it's dirt and it wasn't
Right,
gravel.
but I guess if you pave it, that will
Would be,
eliminate that issue,
yeah.
so.
Yeah. I just put that down because that's what they had on there.
I mean, the only other thing I'd really recommend is a one-way alley.
That would fix the forward motion.
Well, yeah, because it's not wide enough for 2 lanes anyway, but it's not necessary. We just want to clean, we don't mind cleaning up the gravel and saying, okay, we'll hard surface the rest. And that's really all we're looking for.
Right, the only real issue is this encroachment into the setback.
Okay.
However, it's on an alley and in kind of in a downtown area, you've got a big wall right next to it from the backside of the laundromat, it's.
No, it's all,
And even the house next door
Yeah.
has a huge wall too.
Yeah.
It's all the way down.
I
Two lots.
I see what you're trying to do here. I get it.
we
Any
just
other-
want to maintain what we bought.
Any other questions of the applicant?
Understood.
Or
I just wanted to ask a general question, thank you, Chair. With the alleys downtown, I mean, are they all, or Paul, are they all two-way right now? Are there one-way alleys?
There might be a handful
Some are
of them.
one ways, I know.
You know, and I
They
just,
they might be marked that way, yes.
all right. as long as they're marked, but I'm just saying that that is an alternative, you know, if you had the one-way as such. I mean, that's something too, that if something would happen, we could always request that of traffic commission, you know, to install something like that. That's just a possibility.
Thank you, Alan. Any other questions? Tom, no? Okay, you can have a seat and we'll.
Thank you.
Thoughts, gentlemen?
Spent a lot of time on this block in the last couple of years. Some renovation work around the corner, and I think what they're talking about here is a significant improvement to the property, and I get that it's kind of a odd configuration with that, but parking off an alley is a little different than parking off the street, you know. I guess I would, you know, support, you know, a granting of this variance, maybe with the requirement that they designate the parking spaces. If they're going to pave it, to designate where they're at, so that folks are, you know, you pointed out the way you want them to park off the alley, make that explicit for them so that they can't just decide how they're going to do it or change that. I would support that. And I think maybe explicitly excluding section 13-1717 from our granting of a variance, you know, so that we're only talking about the other two.
Yeah, actually, just the first one, I think 1709 is what I really have to consider.
Okay.
The striping kind of takes care of number two.
Number two,
Right.
okay. So I would move that we grant a variance to the first point on here, and with the condition that they stripe the parking spaces.
I'll second.
And so we have a motion by Mr. Alverson, seconded by Mr. Hoy to approve the variance with the conditions discussed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You have your variance 3-0.
Yeah, good.
I just had a question about what do you mean about striping the park, like in the back too, or just the one in the
Yeah,
front?
no, just indicate where the parking stalls are with
Just
striping.
put like, oh, okay,
All right,
Okay.
okay, thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
All right, moving along here to number 6 on the agenda. We have Timothy Van
Yep.
Aye.
Yep.
Would you come forward and make your case?
So, I don't have my drawing actually. We want to just widen our driveway. What we want to do is we want to have a sidewalk next to the garage, 48 inches. It's kind of on a hill there, and I snow blow in the backyard for the dogs, so because I got little dogs, so they can get around in the backyard. And I want to be able to use that area for snow blowing, and I also want to use that area so I can cover and hide my garbage cans on that side eventually. And then for the parking area, I want to extend it this way, because right now in winter, it's a really narrow 2-stall garage. If we put 2 cars in the garage, you can't get in the door of the kitchen, because they're too long and it blocks the kitchen door. So we only ever have 1 car in the garage. Having to park the other car out here is fine. Most of the time in the summer, I park down at the bottom on this side of the apron. But in winter, I gotta park up here because of the plows, and I've had car damage from plows and whatever. So I have to park up here, but I can't, and we have to shuffle cars around all the time. And I am in the middle of end-stage renal disease, so I'm gonna be going on dialysis. I'm gonna have somebody coming into my house a lot, so there'll be people staying often. So I'll have a 3rd car there, so we want to be able to make sure that we have enough room without blocking the edge of that sidewalk, and also be able to park without parking on the grass. And I've been parking on the grass, a half on the grass, for the last couple of winters, just so we didn't have to keep shuffling cars around with me being sick all the time in winter. And I've gotten, I think, 2 tickets from it. And the line of the sidewalk next to the garage would continue down, would be as wide as the driveway is, and then to that 5-foot mark or whatever where I have to be for that angle. And I talked to Shirley next door, and she's okay with it, and I talked to Matt on the other side, and he's okay with it. Actually, this is Matt's letter, he gave me his letter too. So it'd come, yeah, and right now the driveway ends at the garage door. So I could add 2 feet, but that still isn't enough. I need like 4.5 feet. But I don't want to have a section and then go wider for the sidewalk, because I want that sidewalk to be 48 inches wide, so I can put planters on there, like flower, the bigger flower pots, so it's nicer and for maintenance and stuff, so it's easier for me to maintain with my health issues.
Tom, you went up to see that?
Yeah,
And there's several in the neighborhood with it, and
yeah, and that's it, you state that in number 8. And when I drove it, I looked at your property, and then I wrote some addresses down. On the block that he lives on, 1686, 1692, 1708, and 1715, all have what he wants,
Okay.
which is essentially what they're doing is wanting to go like that.
yep,
And that way they can get the other car here.
yeah.
He can get his snow blower in and out this way.
Okay.
So, yeah, I stopped counting on 4.
Yeah.
And that wasn't,
Exactly,
that was.
exactly.
Because he was like, he's in part of the block and I was heading west.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, by the time I was,
Everyone has it
Yeah.
lost in that, okay.
Because all the two-stall garages are built so narrow, you can't get 2 cars in them.
Variance here, Paul, we're talking about side yard.
Side yard setback, 2.5 feet.
Which I would maintain the 2.5-foot setback. But I would be past the 2-foot, the driveway normally is only supposed to go 2 feet past the garage door.
Okay.
And I would go all the way to the setback, to the 2.5-foot setback.
Okay, yep. Have you talked to your neighbor?
Both of them. Shirley on this side and Matt on the other side. Shirley said go for it,
Okay.
so.
Alderman?
Thank you, Chair. I actually live on Nancy Avenue, so I know these neighbors. And, you know, I support Tim's request here. And like I said, he mentioned the health issues, you know, without belaboring it, that's part of the issue. But I think with looking at the other homes, the way they're set up as well, I have no issue whatsoever with him having this.
Thank you.
Any thoughts or
If I had any problems with that, Rick,
I make a motion to approve the request, the variance as requested.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Hoyt, seconded by Mr. Harrison, to approve the variance request. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do you have a variance request?
Thank you.
Just make sure to stop into our office for any permits that
Right,
might be.
we'll do that. I'll do it tomorrow.
There we go.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
We have 7 and 8, we don't have 8 here, Paul? Or is it just,
I don't know.
We're 7.
7, we don't have 8 then.
I don't have a card for 7. I don't know.
It must have came late to the
Okay.
meeting, I think. You wouldn't mind
So-
filling out a card when you have a chance, but.
Oh,
Sure.
Is it Dale and Benita?
Yes.
How do you pronounce your last name?
Denamer.
Denamer. Okay. Would you come forward and make your case?
Sure.
Basically, what we're looking at doing is removing the existing garage, which is 22 by 24,
Okay.
and replacing it with a 30 by 36-foot garage, which exceeds the square footage. The house is kind of in the unique area of Green Bay. Now, the lot next door to it, that's 6-244, I own that lot also. And the neighbors next to us, Tom and Kathy Largo, I've talked to them and they had no issue with it. And the reason to go with a slightly bigger garage is we've got 3 to 4 vehicles, the ability to park one in front of the other. And the 10 feet that goes over the side of the house, it's not, it wouldn't be easy to get a car into there. And so it's just basically a case of having enough room for the vehicles, utility trailers, you know, lawn and garden equipment and so forth. That's the main reason for the request. And the neighbors to the back of us is Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Parking
So
lots.
you own the lot here, and then when you're
Yeah.
saying the neighbors,
You know, obviously that's it. I own this lot right here.
okay.
And Tom and Nancy Largo live here, and then my aunt lives over here. Then this is the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and this is their parking lot. And
Okay.
then that's that walking trail that goes through there.
The Mountain Bay Trail.
On that, named after that soldier,
That's the
Yes.
Ben Ettinger corridor.
that's
part of the
it,
West Side
yeah,
Trail.
that's it, yeah.
Are you planning to develop the vacant lot?
Not at this point, no. And the new garage would be, 6 feet off the side, it'd be 14 feet off the back. So it would meet the setback requirements and so forth. And it won't exceed the footprint of the house. The house footprint is 33 by 39. So, it won't exceed the footprint of the house, and it won't exceed the height of the house. So that height will be actually lower than the current house.
Just talking about the accessory structure, 1,000.
Just over 1,000.
And I'm sorry, what is the square footage? My tablet just died.
It's 1,080.
It's 1,080.
Yep.
So slightly over the 1,000 square foot, yeah.
Wasn't quite in our fudge factor to allow that, so.
Mr. Alderman?
Just real quickly, for that 80 extra feet, plus the fact where they live, if you had a chance to go over there, it's kind of a hidden gem. They're right in the city, but you got a trail on one side, you got a church, your lot. I mean, it's, I told them it's a very nice little fiefdom, if you will.
And actually, this right here is all wide open too. The next house is right along Shawano Avenue there. So yeah, it's
I
a
think
nice
that-
open area.
I think for what they're requesting, it's
Say what?
only
Picking that up across
80
the
square
street
feet
then, too.
for them. I'm in
Well, that's
favor.
not owned by us.
I'm in favor.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. We'll deliberate. Thank you.
Do we need to fill the permit?
I filled it
So you
out.
just filled
Oh,
it
you
out?
did?
Yeah,
Okay.
so we're good.
Okay, super.
That's kind of a no-brainer, guys.
I move to approve.
Okay.
One second.
We have a motion to approve the variance by Mr. Alverson, seconded by Mr. Hoy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You have your variance.
Just make sure to stop into our office.
Actually, I
for
have it
the-
filled out
Okay.
already.
All right, sounds good.
Thank
All right,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 8 was a no-show?
I haven't talked to the applicant, I haven't heard from the
Okay.
applicant, so I guess it's up to you, I don't know what you'd like to do. You can table for 30 days if you want, and give them another chance to show.
Sure.
Yeah,
Someone
move
make
to
a
table.
We got a motion to
Oh.
table number 8 for
I'll
for
second.
30 days.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Move to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.